Greetings. You know me. I'm Raja Chowdhury. Some of you call me Rajada. I'm Raja Chowdhury. And today is 3rd June 2024. And we live in incredible times and of duality and chaos and polarities, politics, climate change, Yet on the media, on everywhere you look, we are obsessed with consciousness, non-dualism, these areas which we've always been obsessed with, whether it was Buddha looking at the Shunya or the Upanishad looking at Brahman and the idea of Tattvamasi, or, Spinoza's the God of the universe, or, whatever you look at it. Today, you just have to do a search on Google or YouTube and you will see that people are talking non-dualism. But there are other traditions in the world, traditions of embodied consciousness. Sometimes we call it Tantra, the body. That means, are we connected to nature? Are we connected to the biology and biosphere of the earth? Are we, just lost in the body? Are we obsessed with sexuality, with food, with consumption? Or can we treat the body as a temple? There's a whole study of that that's amazing in the world. Then there's the mental stuff. Can you train your mind, like through the parts of Kali or Shiva? Can you become aware of levels of consciousness? Can you become kind of, do the Kriya Yogi part or the Hatha Yogi part where you go through levels, or the Kashmir Shaivism part of the 36 tattvas? Can we go through all these levels? And so, along the journey of the levels of expanded consciousness, you experience different intelligence, you experience wisdom, you experience demonic forces, you experience your own consciousness. And as the consciousness expands, you become more aware, you become more sensitive, you become more compassionate and kinder and better. And then you have non dualism, where you, this you, are a construct of the mind, your mind, but also a universal mind. And you and that universal mind are one. And there is a kind of knowledge that comes from just disconnecting from this attached you. I'm not this body, I'm not this mind, I'm not all these things, to that vast consciousness that is the mind behind the whole universe. Spinoza's God, Brahman, whatever you want to call it. So just look at those three states I'm talking about. One is, we call it Shakti, which is the body is a temple for awakening, for enjoyment, for dealing with the world, for looking after nature, for being a custodian, for loving beauty, aesthetics, art, ideas, enjoyment, bhukti. The idea that bhukti, tasting things, enjoying things, can lead to mukti, liberation. That's a beautiful idea. Sri Vidya, Kalikula, all these traditions of Shaktiism follow that, and parts of Shaivism also. Then you have this idea of the levels of consciousness, which we think of in terms of Shaivism, which is that, or lokas of Vasudevaya and Krishna, or heavens and angels and Elohim and beings in the Judaic and Christian traditions, or saints and saintly beings guiding us along the way. So these levels of consciousness allow us to live in the body while slowly, step by step, expanding our consciousness to a higher levels of states of mental ability, which in a way, today's terms, you could call it flow, you could call it flowing with this kind of peak experiences of life, but it's basically preparing you for expanded consciousness. And you can do it through psychedelics, You can do it through meditation. You can do it through mindfulness. You can do it through vipassana. You can do it. These are all stages of self removal, stages of evolution of consciousness. And the greatest teachings of this I have seen were the teachings of, Sri Aurobindo and the mother of integral yoga, where you integrate the embodied consciousness of the body with that vast divine consciousness, and you live in the perfect samatha of the balance in the middle. Then the third part is non-dualism, which the ultimate state of non-dualism is a kind of nirvikalpa samadhi, a dissolution of the self into this vast, wonderful nothingness. And when that comes along, you're tipping over from this illusory life through a process, especially if you follow the Advaita Vedanta path or Buddhism also, or the idea of the Shunya. The idea is that at a certain point, your consciousness tips over by removing all the veils and illusions that you have coated yourself with. So this in Advaita Vedanta we call this neti. Neti. This is not. I'm not the body. I'm not the mind. I'm not the flesh. I'm not the blood. But the other aspect is that all of this is an illusion that leads to suffering, that leads to attachment, that leads to karma. So by letting go all these attachments, I go to this tipping point where I dissolve into the singularity of a universal consciousness. And this can happen instantly, or this can happen some point in the future, but it happens. But the pursuit of it, where it has a problem for me, and I love it because I practice that kind of meditation, is that my attachment to the world decreases. And as my attachment to the world decreases, my sense of responsibility decreases. Now, today, it is critical that we somehow integrate these three. And over the next few weeks and months, I'm going to rant and reflect on these things with you. But I do think that the obsessiveness we have with non dualism today is leading us away from embracing and facing, not in Stoic terms. Now, Stoicism says that the world is going to be what it's going to be: chaos, mayhem, wars, divisions, intolerance, all that's going to happen. You are only responsible for your own mental reflection on that, mental attitude towards that. Now, at a very fundamental philosophical level, I agree with that. You are completely responsible for your own enlightenment. However, you have to be a custodian for the earth. You have to be compassionate. You have to care for the suffering of the planet, for others, for minorities, for people persecuted, for women, for people without rights, for people without any way of fighting their fight. Now, if I go totally detached, my responsibilities are seeing them all as illusory, so I let it go. This is life. This is karma. They're suffering from karma. They're suffering from all these things. Nah, I don't like that. I kind of like the idea of an integral approach where I am responsible for myself, my own enlightenment. I am responsible. I am on a destiny towards approaching the supermind and becoming a divine universal consciousness. But in between, I help all sentient beings become okay, find some peace, go towards enlightenment of their own. Now, if I can do that, I think that the path of the integral yogi is a good one, or what Vivekananda would have described today, and Swami Vedananda calls the path of the Vijnana Vedanta, where on Ramakrishna's teaching of you are both the Vedantin and the Shakti. So you are the embodied sacred feminine in the body, looking after all nature, but you are also the Vedantin, the Advait, the non-dual. And in between, you are Shiva. Shivoham, Shivoham. You are consciousness. But the consciousness cannot stand suffering of other people or injustice or stupidity. And the consciousness also knows that it is the eternal, universal consciousness. So, this is a discussion we're going to have. That are you just Shakti and enjoying the world and consuming and ignoring the suffering of the world? Are you Shiva? Are you Advait, Vedantin, Brahman, universal mind, Tattvam, Asi? The world is illusion, all this is not real? Or are you that Shiva consciousness, Shivoham, Shivoham, that says, I am both the meditator and the warrior, acting in the world, doing justice? This is what I want to talk to you about. So let's enjoy these conversations, and I look forward to catching up with you soon. Srimati Namaha. Blessings, everyone.